Twice in the regular season wasn't enough. Let's make it a third matchup between the Ravens and the Steelers, a rubber match where the loser goes home early in the wild card round. Jay, fill me in on this game and who you got.
Well, it's going to be a great game. It always is. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Isn't it, AQ? Isn't this your game of the year every year? You got to love it, man. The whole question is going to revolve around a couple guys, and that's at the quarterback position. Russell, with all his playoff experience and a Super Bowl win against Lamar, who's 2-4 in the playoffs and really struggled come playoff time. It's well known, well documented, has MVP type seasons, and for whatever reason, he struggles in the playoffs. It's a fact. Sorry. I mean, it's not all on him. I get it. But statistically, which I hate stats, by the way, he has struggled. So that's going to be the key. Lamar, without Zay Flowers possibly, how are we going to get the ball moving? Obviously, Derrick Henry's going to be a big part. Lamar's legs are going to be a big part. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, big parts. Bateman's coming on, a big part. But we got to be consistent on offense. And Coach Munkin's got to do a better job of knowing his identity come playoff time and not making it about him and trying to get job interviews. Let's make sure we start with the ground and pound and then open up to the passing game later on if need be, unlike last year where they threw it like 940 times and got knocked out. Pittsburgh, they've lost 4 in a row. Baltimore's won 4 in a row. We know Pittsburgh's style. They play good defense. Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over. But this game's going to be about negative plays. Who has the least amount of negative plays? Lamar can't take the sacks. Russell can't take the sacks. Last time against Pittsburgh or against Baltimore, Russell threw a pick 6. They were down by 7, had the ball, threw a pick 6, and they ended up losing the football game. So both quarterbacks have to protect the ball, avoid the sacks, let your defense play, and let Boswell and Tucker go at it in the field goals, and may the best team win at the end.
I love that. Hey, listen, AQ, you've been a part of this rivalry. In the regular season, it is intense, right? I've played in the AFC North. That matchup is crazy. But what's it like in the postseason?
Listen, growing up, for me, this was, I mean, it was always the AFC Championship game. Almost every single year growing up, it was Roethlisberger versus Flacco, Polamalu versus Ed Reed. And there was a play that was going to be made by one of those guys that was always going to send the team, whether it was to the AFC Championship or to the Super Bowl. It seemed almost every single year. You can think about the one where Flacco threw it to Polamalu and he weaved in and out, and they get the win, and they go on to the Super Bowl. I mean, it was always something like that. But listen, both these coaches have coached against each other, it seems like, for almost 100 years at this point. It's the same message. Run the football, stop the run. It's going to be the same message on both. And here's the deal. The difference is I think they have a better defense on Pittsburgh's side of the ball. I really do. So it's going to come down to Lamar making plays through the air, but also whenever he gets the opportunity to run, you're going to have to see Lamar find those lanes and use his legs to get big plays in this game. And that is what I think is going to be the difference in this game.
Yeah, you're right, man. I think about those matchups when we were growing up and kind of early in our years when we first got into the league. Like both these teams were just ridiculous. Physical is what I think of. Just those matchups were crazy. Justin, let's talk about the Steelers for a little bit. They became the third team in NFL history to lose 4 games in a row heading into the postseason. Where's your level of confidence with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now?
My level of confidence is at an all-time low. I didn't expect much from the Steelers coming into the season, and it has not gotten any better. Like, yes, they were winning games. They weren't scoring touchdowns in the games. George Pickens would catch a moon ball. Russell Wilson came in and had a little stretch there. But my confidence is exactly where it was before the season. There was just a little blip on the radar where, like, the Steelers showed signs of life. I think the Steelers are doing this. I know we don't do stats here, but we're doing a graph here, and the Ravens are just going up. They're just, maybe it's up and to the left. Maybe I got to go this way. They are going in 2 opposite directions. The Steelers have pissed away the AFC North. They could have had the home field advantage, at least in the first round. Let the Ravens come in with Lamar Jackson, get all the momentum. Lamar, he might even be in the MVP conversation. We don't have to go there, but I'm just saying everything looks right if you are the Ravens. I don't know what Mike Tomlin is selling this team right now. He's like, hey, what he's saying is let's put the regular season behind us. It doesn't matter. We're in the dance. It doesn't matter how we got here. Let's go out there and play a physical game and punch these guys in the mouth and hopefully get it to the fourth quarter. Because they looked lifeless against the Bengals until the last few drives of that game as well. So there is nothing that is really inspiring me with this Pittsburgh Steelers team. But again, it's a division matchup, and this has got to be what Tomlin's telling these guys. Anything can happen.
I mean, their best player did drop about 7 balls last week, and they allowed the only player on the Cincinnati Bengal defense to get 3.5 sacks against them. So, yeah, their confidence should be at an all-time low after that last game against Cincinnati.
If you are banking on George Pickens carrying your team, you got
have to. He's the only playmaker they have. They can't run the ball against Baltimore. That's out. So Russell's going to have to make some throws to somebody. I mean, who's it going to be?
I'm just saying, are you confident? Are you confident that George Pickens is going to focus on catching the ball and not trying to fight fans in the stands during the game?
Get him to a counselor today and tomorrow and just sit there and talk about some mental health issues and say, hey, focus on the next play only and catch the ball. He's got great ability. We all know that. But golly, his attitude, man, he whines too much when he doesn't get the ball. If it's not perfect, it's not all about you, George. Run your route, catch the ball, do your job. And they have a chance. If not, 0 chance against Baltimore.
This is a perfect segue into today's sponsor for our show, BetterHelp. Go to BetterHelp.com/pocket to get 10% off. Every week, we're trying to bring you the best version of ourselves on this show and bring you the top football content on YouTube. There's no reason why you shouldn't be the best version of yourself every week. With BetterHelp, you can do just that. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. You can access their network of 30,000 credentialed therapists online in just minutes. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/pocket today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/pocket. Now let's get back to the video.
Hey, we don't need any help on this show. We're going up. We're doing these little graphs. Like,
we need a lot of help.
If you want the best breakdowns
up
for
to the
every
left
playoff
as
game,
it shows us going up to the right. Yeah,
I know. I wanted. It was more of this. It was this.
Yeah, we're doing
stats and graphs. It's what we do best.
Stats and graphs. If you want the best stats and graphs and the best breakdowns for the playoffs, subscribe to this channel. Drop a like.
Diagram.
Hey, we're pushing towards 20,000 subscribers. We need your help, and we want to hit that goal as we get you set for every playoff game coming up. But Jay, Lamar Jackson, let's go to him. Man, we talked enough about the Steelers, but Lamar Jackson's having one of the best seasons of his career. One of the best seasons, really, of when you look at statistics of any QB in NFL history. But the playoffs have seemed to be a different story. Like, tell me what you expect from Lamar Jackson going into this matchup.
Well, he's a great player. There's no doubt about it. You know, he is having an MVP type year. However, if you're going to say anything negative about Lamar, comparing him to other MVP candidates like Josh Allen doesn't have nearly the amount of sacks and negative plays as Lamar. So let's get that straight right now. That's the issue Lamar has to deal with. We can't take unnecessary sacks. I know he's a great athlete. Sometimes you got to know when to throw the ball away and not take that 15-yard sack or throw the ball to the other team. That's the only issue and the only chance I think Pittsburgh has if he makes a couple throws that like into double coverage, gets tipped up in the air, and there goes Fitzpatrick for a touchdown, something crazy like that. If he can protect the ball, make the throws that are there, run when he has to run, the Baltimore Ravens are a better football team right now. So he's a great player. He's struggled in the playoffs for whatever reasons, but it's not all on him. Sometimes the running games let him down. The protections let him down. The defenses let him down. But he just got to do his job and not worry about making every play a great play. Sometimes the only play is to throw it away. The best play is sometimes to throw it away or take a sack or whatever it might be. But yeah, he's a great player. Just do what he can do, play within himself, and be Lamar Jackson, and I think they'll be fine.
Do you think that Lamar Jackson has the best offense around him right now than he's ever had going into the playoffs in his career?
It's close. I mean, if Flowers plays, maybe, but they have two very good tight ends. Derrick Henry, I think, is the wild card, obviously. Getting a running back like that where you can turn around and hand the ball off in a 4-minute drill and watch him run 60 yards like he did last week for a touchdown is a hell of a benefit to have. And then with his legs and his own reads and all that, on top of that, makes their running game number one in the National Football League. And obviously it helps the clock move, which makes their defense number one against the run in the National Football League. So those two categories are very important when it comes to stats. How do you run the football? Number one. How do you stop the run? Number one, which makes Baltimore a very tough out in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a great point. Justin, looking back at the first matchup between the Ravens and the Steelers pretty much shut them down. Do you think that they can go back to that game plan, figure out what worked there, go all the way back to early in the season when they had this matchup and put together a game plan that, can ultimately reflect that?
Well, that's what Mike Tomlin is selling his team on right now. Let's go back to what we've done to Lamar Jackson over time. He has his lowest passer rating, has lowest EPA per play, lowest, 14th lowest in all these different categories. Like Mike Tomlin has drawn up great game plans against Lamar Jackson. Now, in that first meeting, there was two major turnovers. The first drive of the game, Derrick Henry has a very costly fumble. Lamar Jackson got intercepted. Really, the ball got ripped out by the Steelers linebacker. It was a heroic feat by the Steelers linebacker to intercept that. They held them without, they beat them without scoring a touchdown. I don't know how many times you're going to go into a game and saying, hey, we're going to kick 6 field goals and we're going to beat Lamar Jackson, who's one of the MVP candidates. So I think if you go back to Mike Tomlin, it's the same thing you told the team and try to get them over the losing their last 4 into the playoffs. Hey, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have a dominant defense. This is historically what we've done against Lamar Jackson. We've already done it once this year. Let's go out and do it again on Sunday and leave it all on the field. And that's what you have to go. So the Pittsburgh Steelers can draw on the pass because Mike Tomlin and that defense has been a little bit of the boogeyman for Lamar Jackson throughout his career.
Justin, talk about Michael Pierce and this interception he made for the Baltimore Ravens. Their defense, their secondary has struggled all year. Maybe Pierce should play free safety. What did we see last week?
Okay, when you put on the Baltimore Ravens film and they're wearing white jerseys, I've never seen a larger human being on a football field. It says 355 pounds. He is 455 pounds. He drops in coverage. How does Bailey Zappi not see that dude? He's a freaking fire hydrant, throws it right to him. I jokingly will tell people that is the most impressive physical feat I've seen on a football field since Odell Beckham went up and caught it with 3 fingers. I'm going to stand by that one, Gruden.
His break on the football was ridiculous.
I love that he went down, too.
Yeah, the little slide move, that was incredible.
I want him to stiff arm somebody, lower his shoulder, do something, man. That's the first time he's ever probably had the ball. I mean, give me something, a little shake and bake. I don't know. I was disappointed in the run after catch.
Yeah, you're right.
If they lose Ricard to free agency, they have a backup plan in Michael Pierce.
Hell yeah.
I feel like there's something with the Steelers right now. I don't know what it is. Like I don't remember the Steelers of the past like losing 4 in a row, even with like stagnant offense, dropping balls, not having, put together like a big offensive output. I just feel like there's something else, behind the doors that are going on there. I don't know what it is. It's be hard for me to look at any team in the past that's lost 4 in a row. They didn't
play Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Cincinnati, who had to win the last game of the year. So, I mean, those are 4 pretty damn good teams. Now, you still don't expect them to lose all 4, but if you're going to lose 4 games in a row, those are 4 pretty good teams to lose to.
All right. I believe that. AQ, hey, let's talk about Derrick Henry. You've been talking about him all year long and how this team is built for making a playoff run. I kind of hinted at it earlier to Jay, like, hey, do you think this is the best offense the Ravens have had that Lamar's had going into the playoffs? What kind of game do you expect from them and specifically Derrick Henry?
I think it's going to be tough sledding. I really do. But I do think that their identity is the run game. It is put the fullback in and let's run downhill. And if you get to the first 15 times you run it, you got to stay with it. And I expect them to do that. The last 2 or 3 times Lamar's been in the playoffs, they're trying to force feed him, throws down the field, and they get the exits out of the playoffs, right? And so I think Monken and Harbaugh and this Ravens team is going to look at that, and they're going to say, hey, listen, We have to do what we do. We have to play good defense. We have to stick with the run game. We have to hit the throws that are afforded to us. And then also, I think you take a look at the first two games where Lamar had lanes to run and did not, and you say, hey, listen, I need you. It's playoff time now. We can't sit here and worry about anything anymore. If there's a lane and you can go get us 10 or 12 or a first down, we got to go. But I do think it's going to be tough sledding. But I do also think that if you stay with it and you stick with it, come playoff time, they'll break one. Just like you saw Derrick Henry break one last week in 4-minute football, and he takes it 60 at the end. That is exactly why you brought Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, definitely. He's a closer. All right, let's get to the keys of the game. I'm going to come to you first, Justin. What has to happen here, and who's your pick?
Yeah, I think AQ, and we've all hit the nail on the head on this one. It's going to come down to who's going to dominate up front. That is a battle of toughness between these two teams. I mean, I would like to see Tomlin and Harbaugh meet at the 50 and give me a little a little 1-2 combination, little fight before the game. I think they might prefer that too. This is going to be a slug game. It's just heavyweight bout. I think the Ravens are going to come out on top. I think they're going to force Pittsburgh into some situation where they have to throw. They're a little bit uncomfortable out of their game. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens to win this one.
All right, Jay, what do you think?
AQ, I kind of agree that they got to stick with it. But if they get 2nd and 8, 3rd and 6, and then they're forced to throw, Pittsburgh is number 2 in the National Football League statistically, you guys. You guys
that
like
guy,
stats?
we got ourselves
number 2 on 3rd down defense. TJ Watt, these guys can rush the passer. All right. So you got to be careful. I actually think Baltimore's got to be a little more aggressive coming out and letting it rip. I know they got a lot of negativity last year doing that. It didn't work, but against this Pittsburgh Steeler defense, not many teams have had a lot of success. Hey, let's give it right up the middle. Dush, 2nd and 9. Dush, 3rd and 8. And then here comes TJ. Yeah, you don't want that. So anyway, I still think it's at home, Baltimore. Lamar's got to get going, but the longer this game goes and it's close, the tighter Baltimore's going to get. They're going to feel that pressure. And then here comes Boswell for a game-winning field goal just to shut up the crowd. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in a huge upset.
Okay, there's our first one right there. I love it. Nice pick, Jay. All right, AQ.
I'm just kidding. I'm taking Baltimore. I picked Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl, by the way.
I mean, Derrick Henry had 160 yards against the Steelers last time too. So
yeah, sure he did.
Sure he did. Like I'm lying.
Not going to bring up stats. What a loser.
AQ, come on, fill me in.
Yeah, I got Baltimore. I mean, there's no question about this. I've been anti-Pittsburgh and pro-Baltimore this entire year. And this is just another week of that. The interesting thing is the fact if Zay Flowers does not play, Bateman and obviously the tight ends are their only threats down the field. I don't think they have a ton of weapons at wide receiver. They had a pretty good solid group with Bateman, Flowers, and then the tight ends. But once you take Flowers out of the game, like it gets a little bit more interesting. But I do think they hammer the run game. The only other thing, like I'll be real interested to hear some of these comments on Hard Knocks, of Tomlin talking to the D-line this week, because I think there's going to be a lot of, hey, boys, TJ, I'm going to need 3 from you. Then he's going to walk to the other side, and he's going to say, hi, Smith, I'm going to need 3 more from you. And then he's going to go to Cam Hayward. I think I'm going to need 3 more from you in order for us to win this game. So I don't think they'll get that. So Baltimore.
Yeah, that's a good point. The other thing is, when you say Flowers may not play, the other thing is Baltimore has been really good when they've gone big personnel. They bring Charlie Kohler in. They bring, Likely and Andrews and all these.
Patrick Ricard. Let's go.
Ricard. Maybe they'll even bring Tim Settle in to block somebody.
They are good when they go that 3 tight end set, 22 personnel with Ricard. I don't know if that works great against the Steelers. In fact, I think that may play into the Steelers' hand if you try to go big on big like that. So watching for Flowers, if he plays or not, could make a big difference. But at the end of the day, I think the Baltimore Ravens win this game. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson making some plays with his feet. I think they're too much. And you talk about two teams that know each other just about as well as anybody else. I mean, playing for the 3rd time this year, no telling how many matchups Tomlin and Harbaugh have coached against each other. But it's an old school matchup. It's at home. I'm going to take the home team and roll with the Baltimore Ravens.
In football, every game means more during the playoffs, and you can start your own personal playoffs on Underdog, where you could cash in on touchdowns, interceptions, yards, or more. All you have to do is pick higher or lower, and you could take home up to 1,000 times your money if you get your picks right. It's that simple. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars making picks. Sign up for Underdog today using promo code POCKET, capital POCKET, and you'll get a free pick as a part of your first cash entry plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, that's promo code POCKET.